In this video, we're going to be going through the fundamentals of Onshape, the basics, and how you'll kind of navigate being accountable to your teacher and using the software and learning the basics. Okay, so the first thing you need is, three things that you need are the YouTube video tutorial series. So it's a playlist. It goes up to model number 9, and you will essentially work your way through each video, starting with this one after you have signed up with Onshape. And then once you've done this video, you'll work through each individual model. Once you get up to number 9, you should have enough skills to do the rest of the models yourself with teacher assistance. So the YouTube video tutorial series is here, and it will be linked for you on wherever you can access it from your teacher. The second thing you need is the CAD activity booklet, which essentially is just a blown up version of what you see in the YouTube video tutorial series, and it has every single model up to 9 and beyond that as well, and they get more complex as they progress. So that's all in your skill building. And then of course you need access to Onshape. So once you create an account, you'll have this kind of page available to you. So let's get stuck into it. The first thing you need to check for is whether you have been added to a team. Okay, so if you go to this drop down kind of menu on the left under teams, you will see that your class should be here. Okay, if you see your class is there, you're good to go and start modeling. If you're not there, then your teacher needs to add you to that class so that you can be in that. So once you've confirmed that you are in your class, you can now start creating a model. So to begin with, we're going to left click on create, go to document, and you're going to name the document for the after the first model. So the first model is the number 1 square block. So you can type it, you can copy and paste it if you can, but the most important thing is it reads as number 1 square block. Left click on create, wait a few seconds. It can sometimes take about 5 seconds. It'll pop up,
so
and your workspace will be available. Okay. From here, this is where you will learn the fundamentals of how to actually operate with this software. Other than creating a document, that's the easy part. This is where it gets a little bit more complex. So switch your brains on and tune in so that you're really paying attention to this section. First thing you need to do is share your workspace with the team. So we're going to left click on share in the top right hand corner. We're going to go to Teams in this tab here, and we're going to search names and select your team. It will pop up automatically, and select the team that you're a part of. It'll pop up there, and then instead of can edit, we're going to give them can view privileges. Okay, and then left click share, and then in that blank space it'll pop up with your class there, so that you know you've shared it with that group, or you can share with individuals too. You can then close this. You don't need to save it or anything. It's all cloud-based. And then we are ready to start modeling. So make sure you share it. That's the first thing you do before you start modeling for any model. But once you've done that, you're good to start modeling. So now that we're here, I just need to have a little bit of a conceptual chat with you about how this software works. So essentially how it all works is on one of these, I guess you would call them canvases that you draw on. You will create a drawing, and then you'll give that drawing mass. So you'll make it 3-dimensional. So you go 2D shape on your canvas, all right, just like you would on a whiteboard. So imagine the whiteboard is this front panel here. Okay, so there's the front panel. You'll do a drawing on it. So say you're drawing a square, and then once you've drawn that square, you'll use a certain tool to then pull that square into 3-dimensional space. So you'll give it mass. So let's do it very briefly so that you can see how it works, so you don't have to have the conceptual chat, you can just see how it happens. So we're going to select where we're going to draw it. So we'll do it on the front plane to begin with. These are called planes. So left click on sketch. Then I'm going to select a certain shape. So I've got different shapes in this toolbar now as a result of clicking sketch. I'm going to select the center point rectangle tool. Left click on that and it's grayed out now, so I know I've selected it. And then I'm going to start drawing it on this front panel. So I'm going to left click once, left click twice, and then I'll tick the sketch just like that as is. And I have my shape. So imagine that's just a square there. And then I'm going to click my shape. I'm going to select my square. All right, you can do that here or over here. And then I'm going to use this button called extrude to make it three-dimensional. So that's essentially the fundamentals of how this software works. Is you do a 2D shape on the front or the back or the side or on the floor or on the ceiling, and then once you have that 2D shape, you select it and you give it mass. You give it three-dimensionality. Okay, then we tick that, and then there you go. You have your first shape. Okay, you don't have to do that. That was just me showing you very, very briefly how to do it. So I'm going to Control Z out of that so we can start again with a fresh space. So the first objects that we need to make is the number one square block. Okay, so this is a 100 by 100 by 100 millimeter square block. What I'm going to do is I'm going to model it on the top, which you can say is the floor. Remember, everything's a canvas, so we've either got canvas on the floor, on the ceiling, on the left wall, on the right wall, or on the front or the back wall. Okay, so I'm going to draw my sketch, my 2D shape on the floor. So I'm going to left click on sketch once I've selected my plane. As you can see, it says sketch plane, it says top plane, so we know we're on the floor here. And we can either do it from the top view or we can do it from the bottom view, depending on what you select over here. So this is our view block over here. It changes how we view what's happening. In terms of if we're making a square on the top, we're just going to view it from the top. Makes it as easy as it can be. Okay. So again, I'm going to select the center point rectangle. I'm going to left click on this little black origin point just for the sake of keeping everything centered. So I've left clicked once and I'm going to start the shape. And I'm going to left click one more time to fix the shape in space. So now if I move my mouse around, it doesn't do anything. As you can see, this white box pops up. The thing you do not want to do is click that white box with the mouse. So my hand's actually going to be away from the mouse now. All right, and I'm going to type in the number 100, then click enter. And then as you can see, the white box popped up on the other line now. So I'm going to type in 100, then enter. Okay, so that's how you kind of choose the dimensions of a shape. Once I've made my sketch, I'm going to tick that sketch. So I've finished that sketch, I've finished that 2D shape. It's like I'm saying, okay, we're locking this away. We aren't going to sketch on this anymore. From here, I'm going to make it 3D, just like you saw before. So I'm going to change my angle to these top corner ones once again. And I'm going to select my shape. I can do it here, I can left click here, or I can left click over here. Generally, I find this is a bit more foolproof, so I left click here, and then I left click on extrude, okay? And it's 100 by 100 by 100, so in the depth, I'm going to type 100 in. Enter, and then tick. And that's your first shape, okay? I did that quite fast, but if you kind of go through and pause and play, it will be fairly step by step on how I do it. But I'll do it one more time just for your sake. But if you feel confident already, then you can go through and move on to the next thing. Okay, and move on to the rectangle block once you've done it. All right, so remember we have our view block here. We have our planes on which we sketch here. We have our toolbar here. And maybe one more thing to mention is we have our history of what we're doing over here. Okay. So again, I'm going to do it on the top plane. I'm going to left click sketch and I'm going to select my tool, which is the rectangle tool. Remember, it's grayed out. We know it's working. I'm going to change my view so I know where I'm working. left click on the origin point to start the shape, left click once more, move your hand away from the mouse to fix the shape in place, and that white box will pop up. Now, just so you know, the white box will pop up to whatever side the mouse is closest to. So if I move without clicking over here, you see the white box pops up on the other side. So it doesn't really matter because it's 100 by 100, but if it does matter, if it's 50 by 100, just make sure you know where you're kind of typing. So 100, enter, 100, enter. Remember, my hands aren't even touching the mouse at the moment, I'm just typing. So I have my square, two-dimensional square at the moment, and I'm going to tick that sketch, my 2D sketch, and I'm now going to take that 2D sketch, I can do it over here, left click that, and I'm going to extrude that 2D sketch to 100 millimeters depth. Okay, there's a few different tools within this that you'll find out about later in the videos and stuff, but that's basically the fundamental of it. Okay, so now when I go back to the Onshape menu, this is complete, and I've shared it with my team. I can see that at 3:30, for me it's 3:30 p.m. today, I made the #1 square block and I shared it with that particular team. So that's how you use this software fundamentally, and then once you've done that shape, you move on to the #2 rectangular block and you create, document and name it and go from there, and just rinse and repeat until you're confident using this software.